Welcome back to my channel. My name is Bethany, and today I am going to be covering my favorite books of 2019. I'm going to be telling you the books in order of which I read them because I can't really rank. These are mostly all 5 stars, so it's pretty close anyway, and they're all across all different genres, and so yeah, let's just get right into it. So the first favorite that I'm going to cover with you today is Saga volumes 4 through 9. It's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet set in space. That's kind of what people pitch it as, but it's so much more. There is a lot of like tragedy and things like that in the books, so I guess a Romeo and Juliet set in space is quite appropriate. So there's the couple, the man and the woman from the couple. They are from different planets. They get together, she becomes pregnant and has their daughter. They have to be on the run because people are after them, because they don't want people to know that the two alien races can reproduce. So that's kind of it's very action packed, and the couple themselves, they have their ups and downs just like any other couple would. I just really enjoyed the story. It's easy to follow, and it's kind of like a love story at its core. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one. Hi, I'm editing, and I lost the footage of where I told you what the next book is going to be on my list, and that is Wishful Drinking by Carrie Fisher. Now, let's continue and let me divulge some personal stuff about myself. Also have bipolar disorder. I was diagnosed in August. It will be 3 years ago. So I related to a lot of the things that she said about bipolar disorder in the story. And sorry guys, I'm getting over a cold, so I can hear myself wheezing. So if you can hear me wheezing, I'm very sorry. It's all about her life, being the daughter of these two famous people. How is that like? How is it like being famous herself? Like that sort of thing. And I just devoured the book, and Acknowledgements is beautiful. Like, I almost cried because it's just so touching what she had to say with people with mental illness, what they're going through, and yeah. So so I really enjoyed that one. The third book I'm going to talk to you guys about is one that I read at the end of January, beginning of February. Again, I devoured this book, and that is One by Sarah Crossan. I originally saw this on Jen Campbell and Jean from Jean Bookish Thoughts. Their channels, I think. Or was it someone else? Either way. Love this book. I devoured it. It wrecked me emotionally. I cried my eyes out. But I don't want that to scare you from reading this book. It's all about this is a YA book written in verse, and it's about this set of conjoined twins and their life in high school. I think they've been homeschooled. If I remember correctly, they've been homeschooled their entire lives, and now they're going into the public school system in high school. So it's like all about their high school life, trying to make friends and trying to just be themselves while they have to be together. You know what I mean? Book number 4 on this list that I created is a book that I read in March. Now, it feels like I read this during the summer of 2018, but I didn't, because the setting is it just puts me back. It makes me feel like I read it in the summer because it's set in the summer. Okay, I'm just going to tell you what it is. When We Collided by Emery Lord. This book it centers around two teenagers, one named Jonah, whose mother is going through a depression after his father's death. Him being like the caretaker of the family, sort of. I think he has a couple of older siblings who are like busy with their own lives, but he's still in high school, so he's trying to do what he can to provide for the family. And then there's, I can't believe, Vivi, I can't believe I forgot her name. But Vivi, she is a daughter of an artist who's living in the little seaside town that this is set in for the summer. And she has bipolar disorder. So, and I love how Emery Lord, she explains what bipolar disorder is in plain, straightforward language. I really appreciate. I related to this book so much, especially towards the end. All the things that Vivi experiences when she's becoming manic, and the thought processes that she's going through, that makes sense to her, but obviously they are way out there. One of the things that I related to was when Vivi, she was in her manic state. She was eating at a restaurant, and she got her receipt, her bill, and she looked at the total amount, and the numbers matched the area code of a town. And she's like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to go to that town now. And so she goes on her little scooter to that town. And I can relate to that so much, because all of a sudden, like, when I was becoming manic, I was having those odd thoughts, like, oh, like, everything's going my way, the universe is like working out in my favor because of this, and this stuff that's irrational, but it makes sense to you at the time when you're going through that. And everything was just so spot on. So yeah, I really love this book, and I think I need to reread this soon, because I think I might have teared up a little bit while reading this, because it validated what I went through a few years ago when I got diagnosed. So this book means a lot to me. Number 5, and this goes to An Extraordinary Union by Alyssa Cole. This was the first adult romance that I've ever read, and I can't believe it took me this long to read an adult romance. It's set in Civil War times. There's the main character. She's the heroine in the story. She's black. She's a spy. She's living in the South as a spy, but she's working as a slave in this like household. And then there's the hero in the story. And he's also a spy. He's white. He's also a spy, and they hate each other at first because they don't think that they're on the same side, because he's supposed to be this Confederate soldier. She's supposed to be a slave, so they don't know about each other being spies at first. And it was just so wonderful. Made me fall in love with the romance genre a whole bunch. Next book was Braving the Wilderness by Brené Brown. I think out of all of her books, I love Braving the Wilderness the best, because she tackles like how we're so divided in this country now, in America, in the United States. It's really a touchy subject. It touches on a lot of important things. I think it's an important book that we that I would highly recommend you read. So for that reason, it's on my favorites of the year. Number 7, I read this at the end of May. Basically, it took me a month to read, so I finished it in June. And that is This Will Only Hurt a Little by Busy Phillips. It's her memoir. She touches on being on her late night talk show, her being on Freaks and Geeks. It just seemed like a friend was like talking to me, but I was reading. So she covers a lot, like I said, a lot of important stuff, such as like stuff that's going on in Hollywood. And number 8 would be Stay Sexy and Don't Get Murdered by Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark. These are here's their pictures on the back. They are the hosts of the podcast My Favorite Murder, and in a previous video I already told you that I love true crime, so it's no surprise that I'm a murderino as well. This is just basically their dual memoir, kind of self-helpy, but kind of not, kind of telling them about their lives. It felt like 2 older sisters or 2 aunts, 2 younger aunts telling me, hey, this is what happened to me. Don't put yourself in a similar situation. I just love them a whole bunch. I got this book for my birthday. I immediately took it to work and I read it in 2 shifts while I was working. So that tells you how much I really enjoyed this book. Next up is a book that I read in October. I read it in one sitting, and that is My Friend Dahmer by Derf Backderf. He is the author and illustrator of this graphic novel. I can show you a little bit in here. That's his art style. But it's all about how Derf, he knew Jeffrey Dahmer in high school. They both went to Revere High School, which is located in Bath, Ohio, which is a suburb of Akron, which is where I live. So it was pretty interesting to see where everything took place, because I'm familiar with that area. And they talk about the Fairlawn area as well, which I'm familiar with. So it's just really kind of sobering in a way, I guess. You think you know someone, but then you don't. It is pretty graphic. Contains like things like finding roadkill, playing with the roadkill, like doing things with the roadkill, things like that. So if you are sensitive to that kind of thing, then I don't recommend this for you. And the last book that I'm going to talk to you about today is One Day in December, and I of course read this in December. I gave this book 5 stars. It's by Josie Silver, and it's all about one day this woman named Lori, she's on the bus, and she spots this man at a bus stop, and they meet eyes, and they have like this connection. Sparks kind of fly, but then they never see each other again until Lori's best friend introduces him as her boyfriend. So it's like, oh, okay, she's been looking for the bus boy all this time, and now here he is. What am I going to do? Should I tell my best friend? And it's like a decade in all their lives and what happens in all their lives, and it's just so cute and so much fun. And well, not fun at times, but I just love romance. I think that's my takeaway from this year. Hope you guys are all doing wonderfully, and until next time, happy reading. Bye.